Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Welcome to Spirit-Centered Business. I am so honored and blessed that I have Ron Hart with me today as my guest. Ron has been my prayer partner as we pray for Kingdom Talks and Gil and Adena and Kingdom Equipping Center and all things like that. For how long, Ron? About a year and a half or so?
I would say at least.
Yeah. So we cover the spirit realm together with our prayers, but we've never actually met in person.
Right.
It's crazy. But I know that you are a kingdom business guy, marketplace minister, spirit-centered business guy. So I really wanted you on the show, and I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome. I'm excited to see what God comes out of my mouth.
Right? It's always a surprise sometimes.
Right.
Okay. So what I want to ask you is, not everyone might be familiar with your story. So let us know a little bit of your business background and then how you have blended your spirituality into that. How do you express the spiritual side of you in the marketplace?
Yeah. Well, I've been in two realms. One, the entrepreneurial realm, and the other one is just the blue collar worker. I've always been in auto mechanics. I actually taught auto mechanics for 10 years at the local high school and ended up being the head heavy duty mechanic at UCSC, the university here in town. So if it has wheels on it, I worked on it or took it apart or hopefully put it back together. But that's been my blue collar part. But I've been in network marketing for 35 years, and hey, I started with Amway. Everyone laughs about
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. Wow.
In fact, I probably did it 2 or 3 times. Come in and come down, and in that process, there was a lot of personal development, which I didn't make any money, but I learned a lot about just relationships, marketing, that type of thing. So, so I have both the blue collar and the entrepreneurial. I always said there's got to be a better way. There's always got a better way. And that was probably part of the good things and at the same time, some of the bad things, because as I'll talk later, you got to pick something and stick with it. So I jumped around all over, I said, I made $5,000 in this company. And I says, well, I lost 15 in this company and back and forth. So I told my wife, I says, my tagline will be, it says, a wise man learns from his mistakes, but a genius learns from other people's mistakes. So hang around and I'll tell you all my mistakes and you can be a genius.
Well, it's a good thing that, you would be a good person to have as a mentor.
Yeah. Don't do that. I tried that. Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
This is fun for me, Bralynn, because like you said, we've never met face to face, and this is probably the most we've talked together. We're texting and praying and, this, that. And I went to one Ultimate Impact at Gil's house, and it was all people, but you were on the video and then and then you were gone there. So I never really got to talk to you. So this is just good for me.
Oh, yeah, it is good. Thank you, Ron. Yeah, and I think that you came to KEC one time, and that was the one time that I missed it. So yeah, it's really cool to be able to talk to you and get a little bit of your story. I did see you on Kingdom Talks. I wasn't on that show either. So it's kind of just funny how
that was way back.
Yeah. Although weren't we on the show with Os Hillman together?
Probably. That's who I've worked with for the last 15 years is Os. Yeah.
Oh, I love him. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. He and Lance Wallnow were some of my early mentors in the marketplace ministry space, and Ed Silvoso. So yeah.
We've been down parallel roads, just didn't know each other. So that's great.
Yeah. So tell us more about how you brought your spirituality into the marketplace, or how were you able to, be the expression of God that he created you to be in the capacity of your business?
I think that goes back to some of the things we'll talk about is who am I and why am I? And it was really funny, not funny, but 20 years ago, I just had this word and I just wrote up this idea. It says, if you want to take over a country or a community, do you go out and recruit an army, or do you just activate all the guerrilla warfare guys that are already there? And to me, that's the marketplace. We have many kingdom-minded people already there. We just have to, one, validate who they are, and then activate them in where they are. So that's been kind of my journey along the way. And working with Os Hillman, it's just been so much fun because I started out on his email and I go, how'd this guy know this? You know, he knew everything that I was thinking and why I was going. But, you know, I'm a second-class Christian because I'm not a missionary or a pastor, youth pastor. I spent years early on in the 70s. That's probably before you were born, but working in Young Life, which was one of my main, working with high school. I love high school kids. So I did a lot of ministry work there and then teaching high school with high school kids. So my goal is find out what your purpose is. And a guy named Kevin McCarthy wrote 2 books, The On-Person and The On-Purpose Business. And this is 25 years ago. So I came up, you go through this process is, what is your purpose? And sometimes it's kind of hard, but you go through it. And I came out with you have a 2-word purpose statement. And mine is connecting visions. And if you expand it, is I serve God, people, and myself by connecting visions. So if I'm ever in a group with you and you're talking to me about your life or what you do, I'm going, okay, I need to connect them with him, or I need to connect them with her. So that's just my anointing and my drive. That's why I just really resonate with Os Hillman, because that's where he is also. He's a connector. And you can probably tell I'm not that alpha male kind of guy, go out there. I'm a steady plotter. I'm very stable. I can bring that stability and calmness into a chaotic situation and just say it's okay. One of my favorite things in high school, I was teaching high school kids about how to do life. And I used to say, don't come to me the day before. You have to hand in your notebook and say, I fell off the back of my motorcycle and 3 trucks ran over it. I go, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And I says, I can still like you and respect you, but I can still flunk you. You know, so it was validating them as a person, and their behavior got evaluated, but that didn't change how I felt about them. In fact, I'm 73 years old, and I just had one of my students come by yesterday that's 53, that we still have relationships. So to me, that currency of success, and when we're in business, we're talking about success. How do we measure it? A lot of people say money or a house. I measure it, the currency of success is relationships. So it's all about relationships. They used to call me a narc at work, because back then we had cassette tapes. Do you know what those are?
I do. I do.
I had one of those on my belt and had one earphone in my ear. So they called me the narc, But I was listening to self-motivational talks and that type of thing. And one of the things, Peter Lowe was one of the guys I used to listen to.
Oh, yeah, Peter Lowe. Uh-huh.
And he says, the most valuable asset you will have later on in life, and I don't even know if you know what this is. Do you know what a Rolodex is? Is a Rolodex. Well, now it's your contact list,
Yeah, your Rolodex. Exactly. No, but that's true, because it's your network, and it's, in my space, it's your list. It's your email list, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And now as things are moving along, I did email marketing. You call me a spammer when it used to work. Well, it doesn't work anymore with the spam people on the air, but how many you got in your list? I got 100,000 on my list. I go, okay, at the end of the day, well, how many sales did I make out of that 100,000? Instead of just being happy I have a big list, is it productive? So that's
it's always about the quality of the list. Are they engaged? Do they know, like, and trust you rather than just the quantity? That's good.
It's really good. We were talking before we started the call. We've been doing this 31-day wisdom challenge with Pedro. How do you say Adao? I think it is.
Adao, yeah, I think.
I never heard of him, but I'm loving it. And he says marketing is going beyond information and it's going into relationship, like I just said. He says people want to be in a group where they're known and they can be transparent and they're accepted. So it's really a kind of, to me, a tweak in the marketplace itself that the products that we're selling. In fact, he's saying information. I just get the information away, and then people use it and say, "Hey, this is great. I want to be in relationship with you and your team or your tribe or whatever you want to call it." So that is a kind of I see that as a big switch in the marketplace right now. And,
well, I'm glad that the Kingdom kids are finally picking that up, because when I came into this space and started retooling and knew that I was coming out, it was in 2011 that I started hiring coaches. And one of my first coaches, I was following Brendan Burchard a little bit, and then he said that his coach was Evan Pagan, so I hired Evan to be my coach. And Evan was saying, you learn give, ask. You give away your best stuff. You give away your gold nuggets, and you want people to say, wow, if they're giving this away free, can you imagine what their paid product is, And one of the things that I had to get over was thinking that if I give this away, there won't be any more. And it was really a leap of faith, and to trust God that he has infinite creativity for me. And now, I wasn't accessing into the spirit realm like I am now, but now, I can run into the spirit realm and grab that creativity and pull that down, and, really do something with it in the earth anytime I want. So it's an infinite supply. I just have to be tuned in, and I have to have that intimacy with Father in order for me to have that access. So,
right. As you say that, I'm just thinking, I've operated in my flesh and my own wisdom and my own skills and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
When you get into God's realm and the creativity, I mean, there's no boundaries. And again, back on the 31-day wisdom challenge, he was just talking about how what he's doing right now, he didn't plan to do it. God downloaded it to him, and it just had favor and it flourished, and then he was able, I mean, I don't know how many of your people are in the spiritual river, you might say, but he did a session, quote, a bonus session. We always get the bonus session. And they had 3 guys in there, and everyone in there, they just started giving prophetic words over them. I go, whoa, that's creative. And they go, if that comes from God. I have another lady over here that she's a CEO, and she goes into the boardroom, and she doesn't, quote, say, I'm going to prophesy over you, but they start saying words, and guys will, how'd you know that? Or a tear will come out of their eye, and afterwards they go, can you do more of that in the corporate room? So I mean, we should be operating as spiritual beings in this business.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know if you know this or not, but in my Spirit-Centered Business Activation Group, we meet twice a month, and we go into our heavenly conference room. And usually we get strategies or, solutions to problems, but sometimes there's heart issues that need to be taken care of, or just encouragement that needs to happen, or you just need to put two and two together for us, like, oh, that's what that means, or, something like that. So it's really cool doing it that way.
That goes back to the relationships, and like we've done with Gil and Adena and Ultimate Impact. To me, the biggest positive in there is you're doing it together, and everyone has a different piece, and like the 3 plumb lines, love, honor, and respect. And sometimes we might not agree, but we can bring a different perspective. And then I go, oh, I never saw it from that direction. I can understand that. So I guess that brings up a thought is, in business, it's not all about me. It's about what you're contributing to the relationships you're in business.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, that skill of being able to pull people out and be transparent and build trust. I mean, you have to have trust, and in this marketplace nowadays, that's hard to get that foundation of trust going.
Yeah, that's good. I typically have little words of wisdom to myself around, around my office or my mirror or car or whatever. And for a long time, I had eyes on the prize. And what the prize was for me was God had showed me that in the marketplace, I set captives free, and the two words would be free captives, right? So, but so I was thinking, well, what does that mean? For me, it's setting the voices free that have been held captive by fear and doubt.
Amen.
So when I say eyes on the prize is that voice, is that message of that person getting out there. And so I have to keep my focus on how I'm serving this person in this moment so that their voice can get out there,
Yeah, we just had a guy on one of Oz's is how to be a Christian and be in sales. And sometimes you go, well, he said, am I trying to help them by what I can offer them, or am I just trying to make the sale so I make money? Like you said, that's the focus of why am I doing it.
Right.
Way back in my network marketing, you ever heard of Zig Ziglar?
Oh yes, of course.
He had
I'm friends with his daughter Julie.
Yeah. Well, he had a network marketing company for a few years called Zig Online, and I loved Zig and went to Dallas numerous times and got to sit under his teaching and some of his head teachers and all that. But the bottom line was relationships. And if I'm going to sell you something, it's going to be something that can help you. That's the motivation. I have something to really help you get to your goals. And Zig Online, I loved it. I mean, can you imagine having hours and hours of Zig, and we were marketing that, and people were loving it. Zig is so precise that you could take a subject. This is going back to this old company, and you could search for fear, and you'd get 2 or 3 minutes on Zig that they've edited out of all of his talks about fear, and there'd be 4 or 5, 6 or whatever on any particular subject. And his son Tom, we worked with him a lot, but to me it just comes back to relationships.
That's beautiful. So who else were you following at that time? You've mentioned Peter Lowe and you've mentioned Zig, and of course Oz is now, but who back then, who were you following?
Tried to think of his first name, Carson. It was a online affiliate program, and he was one of the biggest affiliate marketers around. We did that for, it seems, like this will be, like I said, learn from my mistakes, is whatever you try, you have to come in and say, I'm going to do this. We used to say for a year. I'm going to say 2-3 years. But I used to jump around. That was my biggest mistake. I used to jump around. I thought there was some kind of magic thing that I could do, and I would be, my always goal was to make $10,000 a month, and so I jumped around. This program's better than that one. So, who was I motivated for? Me, instead of the client, the customer, whatever you want to call them. So I had to find a program, and I've been working the last 11 and a half years in a company called Trivita out of Arizona. That's a nutritional program. I've always been kind of in nutritional kind of things. And Michael Ellison, who's the owner, is a marketplace believer. He's done a lot of, he's worked in video, and he does long form ads on TV, that type of stuff. But it was just, again, into the relationships. not, you don't have to be a Christian to be in the business, but many of them are, because we align with the values, which is another key thing. Is you might be able to make a lot of money, but does it align with your values, and be able to, oh no, that doesn't fit me. So
right. That's good. That's really good. So I'm sure that you've had a lot of incidences where you've had to make a choice between your values and money. Can you think of any that you'd like to share?
Well, all the ones early on, it was the money. And that's probably why they didn't work. And just coming up later, I have a really close friend that he's one of the top producers in the financial realm for doing how can I say this? His products are annuities that you can't lose any money, but they can still make money. And I've been his best, what do you call it, lead finder. He says, you're the best guy. But he's asked me to be in his business 3 or 4 times. I go, no, that doesn't fit me and my values, because he is in the office, and he's not really spiritual. I like to be outside. You have to have an insurance license. And I go, I'm not going to sit through all of those kind of things, So those values, it wasn't bad or good. It just weren't my values. But what he said, and Pedro even said this the other day, that he's the kind of business person that says, I will sell the product that helps the client, not my pocketbook. And both Pedro and my friend said, I was selling a product that I lost $300,000 a year on, because I wasn't selling the other product where the commissions were good. And Pedro even says, well, I had the owners of the business get in their private jet, come here and say, what are you doing? You're leaving all this money on the table. I says, well, this product is better for my customers. And it took them a while to get onto that grid of, you're kidding me, because we're on a long road, not a quick turnaround. You might get a spike in your income on the other ones, but if it doesn't work, you can lose clients, that type of thing. So always think of your client first. And those are some of the things that I've learned about values in the marketplace. Try and think some of the, just a funny story about Amway. I couldn't do the way that they taught how to do it. They said, oh, invite people over for dinner and all this kind of stuff, and then hit them up with a business opportunity. I said, I can't do that. That's deceiving. It's not right.
That's just bait and switch kind of. Well, that feels smarmy to me.
Exactly. So I've learned through all of that, how to have that intuition of knowing what fits and what doesn't fit. And it was really funny, because my wife, in December, we'll be married 50 years, so.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's cool.
So, we've done a lot of these things together. I was always the driver, but she was the support and all that. And there's been a few times when she's kind of, I don't feel good about that, I said, oh, but we can make a lot of money, all this kind of stuff. And I get in it, and so it was just this week, I was just saying, I just have to apologize, because you're the best counselor, and you might not know anything technically about what I'm doing, but your intuition and your spirit person can say, don't be in business with that person, that type of thing. So
that's really good.
I had, just give another transparency, is that I went into a partnership. I've been in 2 partnerships in my life. And I said, that's the worst decision I ever did. And why did I go in those partnerships? Is because I was afraid to do it by myself. But I would have been better to do it by myself and failed, even if I would have. But here's what happens is, I was even counseling my daughter, who's in a business situation that has 2 partners. I said, somebody has to be 51. You can't have a 50-50 partnership, because it's just loggerheads. And this story is, we bought a gas station in town, Like I said, I've always been in automotive, and the other guy was a Christian, and I was a Christian, and it was like oil and water, personality-wise. And at the end, I worked Monday through Wednesday. He worked Thursday through Saturday, and we didn't go to the workplace together, and ended up having to go through having one of our pastors mediate our disillusionment. So here's another wisdom thing is, if you go into a partnership, there's two things. It's got to be 5149 or anything other. And the first document that you write is your dissolution agreement, your exit plan, because that's where, you think everything's all cool, but I think the business is worth 150,000. Well, I think it's worth 75. Well, how do you come to an agreement that, because it's going to cost you money, when you split up? So those are just two wisdom tips I give you.
Wow. Okay. Well, those are really good wisdom tips. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. I mean, that's like a prenup, right? No one actually wants to dissolve it. However, in a business, there is an exit strategy, right? You don't want to be working until you not fall over dead, typically. Maybe you want to just be a consultant but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really, really good. And I just want to backtrack a second, though, because I do believe that there is a balance to be found between selling something that really serves the client, and I don't think you need to go broke to do that. Right. I don't want to leave anyone with an impression that you can't make a lot of money because you have to lose money in order to serve your client well. And no, there can be a balance of, you can have both. In God's kingdom, you can do both and even more. Yeah,
even more. And here's another wisdom tip for me, because I was that person that I would lose money because I was afraid to ask people to pay me.
Yes, I get run into that all the time. Yes,
I'm just a soft heart. I want to help people, and
yes.
and that whole adage is, if there's no skin in the game, it's not a good thing. And I've always been really leery about asking for skin in the game, and that's one thing I've learned over my life and experiences is, if you value this, you will put something on the table and say, I valued this. And, I'm just thinking, how many things have I done that were free, that were good, that I didn't follow through with?
Exactly. Or you did them halfway.
Yeah. But if you have, and one of them is accountability. Like you were talking, you went and hired coaches. The biggest mistake I've made, I'm a loner. I can do it myself. And
believe me, I have a lot of that in me too.
so as I've gotten further and further in my life, I've got, going through Proverbs, lots of counselors and lots of people, that, hey, I'm thinking of this. And that would have prevented me from going off the cliff so many times if I would have talked to somebody, because I get idealistic. I can do this and it works. But when it doesn't work, I mean, you're just flat, so you just really have to pull back and just say, relationships again, I need somebody that, like, if you want to do anything, you need a coach. If you want to, in fact, I'm doing, I just signed up for this coaching thing last week, and it costs money. And I go,
oh, sure.
Wow. I go, wow. But I've been struggling with type 2 diabetes. So, and I've been, quote, doing it yourself and doing fairly well at maintaining it with lifestyle and that type of stuff. But I'm a human being, from Thanksgiving to New Year's, put on 10 pounds and you get back on the program and it comes down. Well, this year it didn't come back down. And I said, I need some help. And, this guy, talk about a sales funnel. I mean, you have to qualify to be in the program. So we need to have an interview to qualify you, And basically, he's just finding it. Are you all in? Or are you just messing around?
Yeah.
Because in business, you can spend a lot of time messing around with people that don't want what you have. They just want to, take your time and your energy. So that's a balancing act of being able to sort those out as early as possible. Even when I had my gas station, we had a lot of minimum wage workers, and I says, I will know within the first week if I'm going to fire you or keep you. And my buddy, we had the big problem, he wanted to keep somebody in, and if you have them after probation, you can't get rid of them. But in probation, you can say, yeah, I just don't think it's working out, and that type of thing. So you learn that as you go along, and I'm not sure where I'm going. So ask me another question.
Yeah. Well, this might be a really good time to just take a break. So let's just take a break for, like they used to say, for station identification.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be right back.
Spirit-centered business, spiritual principles, and business principles combined. If you're ready to align your destiny and discover the destiny of your business, join us. We are entrepreneurs, leaders, and business professionals who take the power of the spirit realm in our business seriously. We go beyond just consuming information. We participate, activate, and engage the supernatural with unbelievable results. If you want to gather with like-minded business professionals to activate spiritual principles and mastermind creative solutions to business challenges, Spirit-Centered Business is your tribe. Go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com to become a member today.
Okay, and we are back. And I have my guest, Ron Hart, here, and we were just talking about the wisdom of, what would you say, cutting ties early, fail fast?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go, fail fast, yeah.
Yeah, and try to fail forward as much as possible.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that successes in business and in life really depend on just what you learn from your failures, because no one is going to have 100% success every single time. And sometimes it's the failures that really do the internal work that allow us to get to the success in the future. What do you think about that?
That's one thing about being an entrepreneur. I don't know of anybody that hasn't had failure along the road. That's just part of it. Like I said, being a network marketing, we would build it, and then the company would go out of business. And I go, wow, so what did I learn here? And sometimes that was a business plan of a lot of startup network marketing companies. Come in, make as much money, and then just dissolve.
Yeah.
Whoa, I learned that one really quick because I'm very gullible. I trust people, and I think what you told me is the truth. And I've learned that it doesn't always work that way, and at the same time not be skeptical, but be a little bit wiser as we move forward.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I want to move into what you're going to be teaching in the academy. You're going to be teaching on finding your why or your purpose. So tell me, you told us a little bit in the beginning of how you found your why. You actually went through a program. Yeah. So tell me, I guess, what it was like before you knew what your why was versus how it is after you knew what your why is, so that people get the gist of how important it is.
Well, it's really funny because what I've learned is my why has to be my why. In the first part of my life, I was living what other people said your why is. So I followed that.
Interesting.
So it was, like I said, I was a college prep student. I did really well. I played sports, played football. And my auto shop teacher just really mentored me. And he wanted me to be an auto shop teacher. So that was my why. So I ended up got my degree to be an auto shop teacher.
Mm-hmm.
and then got it was really funny is there was no jobs when I graduated from college. So I went back into being an auto mechanic. So here I am, little town of Aptos, California. It's a little beautiful beach town. I was working as a mechanic in a gas station. And one of my friends who was a football coach says, "Did you apply for the auto shop position here at Aptos?" I didn't even know they had an auto shop, I says, "Well, I have the degree and, I paid the money, the time. I might as well go do it." So I applied and I got the job. So it was a brand new empty building. So I got to build it from ground floor up.
Wow.
And I love kids and I love building things. But along the way, it really wasn't my why, because I love the kids and I teach an auto shop, but I hate the bureaucracy of education. And I was a second class teacher because I taught auto shop and I used to wear overalls. But it's really funny because I go to a faculty meeting and they kind of look, he's a shop teacher, But then they was like, "Ron, my car does this. What's wrong with it?" And I says, "Well, come grade my papers and I'll fix your car." So it was somebody else's calling, and it wasn't my driving force. So I lasted teaching high school for 10 years. And
that's a good stint.
And I go back to when I was in the gas station and I took that job as teaching, I took a 40% cut in pay. And I go, what's this college education for? I said, I can make more with my hands out here. So every summer I built houses to make money. You have 3 months off vacation. I says, no, that's 3 months of unemployment that I have to go out and make some money. So I had a stint where I built 3 houses and that type of stuff. But
wow,
as you go through it, your why has to be something that is so inbred in you that no matter what the obstacles are, you're going to go for it. And for teaching, I love the teaching, but I hated the environment, and it ate me up. August every year when school started, getting ready, my stomach just used to start to turn, trying to go, I don't want to go back. But like I said, relationships, I love the kids. And it was fun for me because auto shop's a practical thing. It's not a theoretical thing.
Yeah.
And they used to dump all the hard kids in the auto shop, and then they would say, they hate school. How come you have them for 4 hours? Because they want to be here. And it wasn't sit down and I'm going to teach you. But I mean, I was hands-on. Let's go out. Oh, here's a problem. Well, how do we figure it out? And use that as motivation. One, do you know how to read? I mean, even back then, do you know how to read? And I could pick it up really quick. What's going, and then I could get them a mentor that way. But I don't know where I'm going for that. But your why has to be something that's in your heart.
That's really good. It's so heartbreaking when you see someone pushing and struggling for something that's not really on their destiny scroll, or they're called to do. And I probably was doing that for a little while. I'm just trying to remember, how I originally started. I'm an architect, and I was doing interior work, and then I was doing facility management for some of the largest companies in the U.S. and managing the construction. I wasn't actually doing architecture work. I hired the architects and everybody else to put the team together. So I always loved that, but I didn't necessarily like working for these big corporations that had a lot of red tape. And, it was you always had to hire. I don't have anything against unions, but you always had to hire union work, which was 3 times the cost of doing construction any other ways, Anyway, so Yeah, there's always pros and cons, but you have to, I think it's the bigger thing is when it's from your heart and when it's your true calling, you'll get over those things that is just a necessary evil, quote unquote, or, you'll push through and you'll have success one way or the other.
Yeah,
Whereas,
that's
go
a
ahead.
big paradigm shift change for me, because I was brought up in a very solid home, but my dad would work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. And my sister was, later in life says, Dad, I just wanted you to be around. He says, well, if I had been around, you wouldn't have eaten. So there was a little bit of poverty spirit passed on to us generationally, So to me, what my dad says, you just go do what you need to do to put bread on the table. So that aspect of something that was in your heart that you really felt called to do was never even an option for me. And, I have 2 grown kids, one's 41 and one's 38. And I've asked both of them, and they're completely different. I have one daughter and one son. Usually boys and girls are different anyway. But it says, I just have to ask you for forgiveness to training you up to be a workaholic. And at the same time, they go, it's easier to slow down a workaholic than to motivate a lazy person. So I go, well, at least now I can teach you balance. And I've been doing that later on life. And you would love my daughter. She's works for a company called Odyssey Teams, and they do corporate team trainings, like, come into corporate training, and but it has a philanthropic hook to it. Like, they'll build bicycles, like, oh, we're going to build bicycles and give everybody their toolbox, and you open it up, and all I have is screwdrivers, and all that team has is crescent wrenches, and all that team, so you have to start collaborating and all that. So they build this bicycle, and at the end, they bring in boys and girls from the Boys and Girls Club, and they give the bikes to them. And the people just go, wow. He said, oh, we better go tighten up those nuts a little bit more and check it out and all this kind of stuff. And then the other one they built prosthetic hands for the Middle East, because there's so many, amputees and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And their testimonies that they show are so awesome that, they can't work it, but it's kind of a fixed mechanical hand, but they can put a fork in it. And this guy goes, I can eat. He doesn't have to, shovel it in. So, she's you would love her, because she's a go-getter, and she's even started she's in some women executive clubs in the Bay Area and that kind of stuff. But she's gone from, what can I say? She had an AA degree, and now she's on the corporate team of this company. And going back to the 50-50 partnership, it's owned by 2 guys, 50-50. And they're kind of in the gravy off of the business with no further vision. Or my daughter said, we got to grow. And I says, if you know Ed Silvoso, he has 2 guys that are in Vallejo, that he has a bus company, and he ended up selling the company to his employees, and that has just turned everything around. And he said the first year was horrible because everyone in the company was still working as an employee, not an owner. So when you own the business, and so my dad goes, well, how do you do that? And I says, well, you need to connect with these guys. And I did that. But I says, you just go say, here's a proposal to buy you out. And you just write a note for whatever you negotiate is the cost. And then you get paid off on a yearly basis on profits until they're paid off. And then all the employees own it. So I go, this is a new trend. And the guys that are doing it, they're saying this is the new kind of capitalism, is not for me, but for the whole group, that we can make money, we can have leverage, we can build up, and we can scale out, but all the employees benefit from that, just not one guy at the top.
That comes back to the point you were making about having skin in the game.
Yep.
When you're an owner, now you're going to work with a different filter on than I'm just an employee.
Even being an employee, have you ever heard of the book You Incorporated? It was about probably 25 years ago, but it was a book that even if I'm a W-2 employee, I am the boss of my incorporation. That's me. That's my identity. That's how I do my work. And one of the things in my I've never, quote, gone into something that I say I want to be the leader, but just by going in and being You Incorporated and being honest, giving a good day's work, but pretty soon I'm the lead, or I'm the foreman, or whatever. And you just do it by longevity and being loyal. It's been fun. Like Os Hillman, I've just been loyal to him, and every stage he starts drawing me more into the inner circle, so I can call Oz on his cell phone,
Well, get him on the show. I've talked to him a couple times, and he and his wife Pamela. But I really want to get him on the show. I haven't talked to him lately. I want to make sure I have all this tech done, fixed and sorted. I don't want to run into any of these tech issues when I have somebody like Os Hillman on, right?
Yeah, well, Gil had him on. Early on,
Yeah, I was on that show with him because, like I said, I met him a couple times in person, and he said when I was going to do this show years ago, when I started Spirit Centered Business in 2014, and then I knew that I wanted to do a show. I asked him way back then, and he said, yeah. So it'll be fun. It'll be a good show when he comes on. But this one's about you, Ron. So.
Hey, it's about us.
Oh, you're so sweet. We're coming up, wrapping it up here. Is there anything else that you want to share about bringing your spirituality into the workplace, or any of the spiritual principles that have helped you in the workplace?
Well, I think we're just talking about Oz, and he just says there's no separation between the workplace and your spirit life. They're integrated. Again, we're talking identity. We're talking about character, bringing that in to your business place. And I was just talking about the relationship and working with Oz. Like I said, I started moving into his inner circle, and we were in a small men's retreat with 12 guys in Colorado, and he introduced me as his Jonathan. And I about fell over.
Wow.
It's just being loyal and true, and not trying to do anything, just trying to serve him and being his friends. But bottom line, it's about relationships and being a positive influence on other people to be who God created them to be.
That's really good. Yeah. That's, at the minimum, that's what we need to be bringing to the table everywhere we go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really good. Good. All right. Well, thank you, Ron. I'm excited for what you're going to be teaching in the academy, more on finding your purpose and your why. And do you think we're going to talk about counting the cost a little bit too, maybe?
Exactly.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So everyone, thank you so much. Again, this has been Ron Hart, and I appreciate your viewership. And if you'd like to be part of the Academy, you can go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com and click on that. We'll be starting up in February. So if you're watching this later, we've already started. But I wanted to get some volume of work in there before everyone comes on in. But you are welcome to do that. And thanks again to Kingdom Talks Media and the Fringe Radio Network. I so appreciate being on both of those networks. All right. Thank you, Ron. And thank you very much, audience. And until next broadcast, stay spirit-centered. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.